Hello, in this video we will consider an extension to the concept of close opposition, that of distant opposition. Remember that distant opposition is when the number of squares between the kings is an odd number greater than 1, i.e. 3 or 5. We saw in the last video how the close opposition can be exploited to win or to save the game. But what about distant opposition? The typical method to make use of the distant opposition is simply to convert it to close opposition. Again, this is achieved by outflanking the opponent. It is important to note that possessing distant opposition when we cannot outflank the opponent, or when outflanking doesn't achieve anything, is meaningless, as we'll see later. In this study by Dvoretsky, we observed the typical method for this. Initially, it looks as though we should seize the distant opposition here by playing the move king e1. But closer examination reveals that we'll be unable to convert this distant opposition to close opposition. After, let's say, king e8, king e2, again distant opposition, king e7, it looks as though we're making progress here. We've converted the 5 square opposition to 3 square opposition. But black can just play king e8, and after king e4, king e7, we can't play the move king e5 because the pawn on d6 controls that. And so applying the distant opposition in this way would be meaningless. What we need is for the opposition to occur on the f file, because there are no black pawns in the way to prevent us from converting that to the close opposition. And thus, white's move can win with the move king g1. King g1 or king g2. Let's say king g2. We can now take the distant opposition after king f6, king f2. Thereafter, white is able to gradually make progress up the board. If black goes straight back, then we go straight forward. King f7, king f3. If black goes diagonally back, then we go diagonally forward the other way by playing move king g3. Always we're able to take the opposition here by, for example, king f7, king f3. And if king e7, we're going to apply the same method of diagonally going forward, king g4. We're never letting black take the opposition back, and we're eventually going to reach one of these 3 key squares. And once we've done that, we can win this pawn on d6. As you can see, black will eventually run out of moves king f8, king f4, again distant opposition, and we'll eventually be able to convert this to close opposition. King e7, king g5, diagonal opposition this time, king f7, king f5. Now we finally have close vertical opposition, and we're going to gain access to one of these 3 key squares. King e7, king g6, we just keep on driving black back, and we'll win this pawn like so. Now we will consider a second study, this one by Mattison, to further illustrate how possessing distant opposition isn't always everything, and demonstrate another reason for this. In this position, white is a pawn up, but black threatens king g4, after which he will take both white pawns and simultaneously occupy one of the newly created key squares for the f7 pawn on g5. The striking solution is therefore to give away both white pawns, thereby luring the black pawn forward and bringing the key squares closer to the white king. Thus, white's move can continue with g6, and if black takes on g6, f5, and now the key squares for this pawn on f5 are on g3, f3, and e3. And with white, we can actually prevent black from ever getting there. Now, it's important not to play the move king g2 here, because that allows king g4, and black has the opposition, king f2, king f4, and black will get access to one of these 3 key squares. However, if we play the move king g1, the only drawing move, then Even taking distant opposition will not be enough for black to win this game. After the move king g5, we play another only move, king f1, and now there's no way for black to gain the opposition again. If, as Dvoretsky humorously points out, black were able to put the king on f5 at the same time as the pawn, black would be able to outflank white and access a key square, but this is against the rules of chess. Note that if black tries to outflank us in this position with king h4, white can respond by claiming the diagonal opposition, king f2, and we can see that any further pursuit of this by black will be futile because the f5 pawn will fall, king h3, king f3, and white wins the pawn and draws the game. Otherwise, black must allow white to seize the opposition, for example, king g4, king g2, and again, the game must be drawn, king f4, king f2. Thank you for joining me for this discussion of the distant opposition. In the next video, we will proceed to another classification of corresponding squares, so-called mined squares. Goodbye for now.